Remember when Halloween costumes came with bell-bottoms? If you're scratching your head, you're not alone. We're about to uncover 13 forgotten fall traditions from the 70s that'll make you wonder if we're talking about the same planet. From vinyl records of spooky sounds to homemade apple cider pressing, these blast-from-the-past autumn activities might just make you cringe or wish you could hop in a time machine. Number 1. Bell-bottomed Halloween costumes. Think Halloween costumes today are wild? Well, hold on to your bell-bottoms because the 70s took groovy to a whole new level when it came to trick-or-treat attire. Imagine a Halloween party where disco dancers and hippies ruled the night, their costumes defined by those iconic flared pants. Bell-bottoms weren't just for everyday wear, they became the unexpected star of spooky season fashion. In the 70s, Halloween was less about scares and more about self-expression. Costume goers embraced the era's vibrant fashion, turning cultural icons into wearable art. Disco fever hit the Halloween scene hard, with revelers donning sparkly bell-bottoms, platform shoes, and big hair. Hippie costumes weren't far behind, featuring fringed vests over, you guessed it, bell-bottom jeans. Number 2. Leaf-burning bonfires. Speaking of rebellion, there's one 70s autumn custom that would make today's environmentalists cringe. What aromatic fall activity did families once enjoy that's now mostly illegal? The answer might spark some heated debates around the dinner table. Remember the scent of burning leaves filling the air on crisp autumn days? Back in the 70s, leaf-burning bonfires were a neighborhood staple. Families and neighbors gathered to rake leaves and create blazing piles, turning a simple chore into a social event. It was more than just cleanup. It was a community bonding experience that marked the changing seasons. Number 3. Neighborhood hayrides. From smoky bonfires to rolling celebrations, 70s neighborhoods knew how to welcome fall. But there's one tradition that literally brought the whole block together. What autumn activity had families piling onto decorated vehicles for a cozy, bumpy adventure? Enter the neighborhood hayride, a beloved 70s fall tradition that turned ordinary streets into festive parades. Picture this: decorated trucks or tractors pulling hay-filled trailers packed with laughing families and excited kids. These weren't just rides, they were mobile block parties that brought entire communities together. These hay rides were more than just fun. They were social glue. Neighbors chatted, shared snacks, and made memories as they bounced along leaf-strewn streets. But as times changed, so did this tradition. Safety concerns and shifting social dynamics led to fewer community-organized events. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Number 4. Vinyl records of Halloween sound effects. Speaking of bygone fall traditions, there's another that might give you goosebumps. Remember when setting the Halloween mood wasn't just a click away? Back then, creating the perfect spooky atmosphere required a very special kind of vinyl. Picture a 1970s Halloween party where the record player took center stage. As the needle dropped, eerie sounds filled the air, creaky doors, howling wolves, and ghostly moans. These weren't just any records, they were Halloween sound effect albums, essential for setting the spine-tingling tone. Partygoers would gather around the turntable, flipping records and sharing their favorite spooky tracks. It wasn't just about the sounds, it was a tactile, communal experience. Friends would swap rare albums, curating the perfect playlist for a night of frights. Number 5. Pumpkin carving with actual candles. While friends swapped spooky records, another autumn ritual was lighting up neighborhoods, literally. Ever wonder why your folks get nervous when you grab a knife and a pumpkin? The 70s way of carving jack-o'-lanterns would probably give today's safety inspectors a heart attack. Back then, pumpkin carving wasn't just about creating spooky faces, it was about bringing them to life with real, flickering flames. Families gathered around their gourds, scooping out seeds and pulp, then carefully carving designs. But the real excitement came when it was time to light them up. Imagine the thrill of carefully lowering a lit candle into your freshly carved creation, watching the flame dance behind those triangle eyes and jagged grins. It wasn't just about the look, the warmth, the smell of slightly singed pumpkin, and yes, the element of danger all added to the experience. Number 6. Homemade apple cider pressing. Speaking of autumn aromas, nothing could compete with the scent wafting from neighborhood backyards in the 70s. What once common fall activity brought families together only to fade away faster than the season's leaves? Hint: it's not raking, and the results were deliciously drinkable. Remember the sweet, tangy taste of homemade apple cider? Back in the 70s, making this fall favorite was a real family affair. Picture this: neighbors gathering with bushels of apples, ready to transform them into liquid gold. The star of the show? A hefty cider press that required some serious elbow grease. Kids would wash apples while Grandpa cranked the press, crushing the fruit into a frothy pulp. The whole family pitched in, turning a simple drink into a treasured tradition. But as store-bought cider became more common and life got busier, this custom started to lose its fizz. Number 7. Public Scarecrow Making contests. As apple pressing parties declined, a different kind of gathering was stirring up excitement in parks nationwide. Picture this: families huddled together, frantically stuffing old clothes with hay. No, it wasn't a bizarre fashion show. It was a competition that would make today's Halloween decorations look tame. Public scarecrow making contests were all the rage in 1970s autumn festivities. These events were the highlight of harvest festivals and fall fairs, drawing crowds eager to showcase their creativity. Families and groups would compete to craft the most imaginative and sometimes downright creepy scarecrows. The excitement was palpable as participants used everything from tattered shirts to mismatched socks, transforming simple materials into eye-catching creations. What made these contests special wasn't just the end result, but the sense of community they fostered. Neighbors chatted and laughed as they stuffed straw and tied knots, turning a simple craft into a cherished tradition. It was a far cry from today's more commercialized fall activities, lacking that same level of hands-on engagement and neighborly spirit. Number 8. Plaid fashion for the season. While scarecrow contests brought neighbors together, another trend was weaving its way through every 70s autumn wardrobe. Ever wonder why your dad's old photos look like a lumberjack convention? The answer might make you rethink your next fall shopping spree. Picture this: you're walking down a 1970s street on a crisp autumn day. Everywhere you look, it's a sea of plaid. Shirts, skirts, jackets, even furniture wasn't safe from this pattern invasion. Plaid became the unofficial uniform of fall, reflecting the decade's bold and eclectic style. But it wasn't just about looking good. Plaid in the 70s was tied to a sense of nostalgia and connection to nature, making it perfect for those cozy autumn vibes. As one fashion expert put it, plaid was everywhere in the 70s, from the runway to the streets, embodying the spirit of a generation that celebrated diversity and creativity in fashion. Number 9. School fall festivals. While plaid dominated fashion, schools were brewing up their own autumn traditions. Remember those fall festivals that turned classrooms into mini carnivals? They were more than just fun and games. They were a clever alternative to Halloween that brought entire communities together. Picture classrooms decked out with handmade paper leaves, pumpkins, and cornucopias, creating a cozy autumn atmosphere. These festivals were a hit with families of all backgrounds, offering inclusive activities without the Halloween theme. Kids and parents alike got creative, setting up homemade carnival-style booths and organizing classic games like bobbing for apples and sack races. It wasn't just about the activities, though. These events fostered a sense of community that's hard to find in today's more standardized celebrations. Number 10. Woolly Bear Caterpillar Predictions. While school festivals brought communities together, nature held its own autumn secrets. Did you know that in the 70s, a tiny fuzzy creature was believed to hold the key to winter forecasts? This pint-sized prophet had families combing through leaves and grass each fall. Enter the woolly bear caterpillar, the unofficial weatherman of the 1970s. Families would eagerly search for these fuzzy forecasters, examining their brown and black bands for clues about the upcoming winter. The wider the brown band, the milder the winter, or so the folklore went. This tradition wasn't just about predicting weather. It was a way for families to connect with nature and each other. Kids and parents alike would spend hours outdoors, turning a simple bug hunt into a cherished fall activity. As one historian noted, the woolly bear caterpillar has long been a subject of folklore, believed to hold the secrets of winter's severity. Number 11. Attending drive-in theaters for Halloween horror flicks. As caterpillar hunting faded with the daylight, a different creature emerged in the dark. Ever wonder where 70s teens got their Halloween frights before home video existed? Picture this: a giant screen, a crackling speaker, and dozens of cars filled with screaming moviegoers. Welcome to the drive-in theater, where horror came alive under the harvest moon. Drive-in theaters were the perfect blend of America's love for cars and scary movies. On chilly October nights, families and friends would pile into their vehicles, armed with snacks and blankets, ready for a night of communal terror. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation as the sun set and the screen flickered to life. Number 12. Playing flag football in the park. As the drive-in season wound down, a different kind of outdoor entertainment ramped up. Picture this: a chilly autumn day, the crunch of leaves underfoot, and kids from all over the neighborhood gathering for a spontaneous game. What fall activity had 70s children ditching their indoor comforts for the great outdoors? Enter flag football, the unofficial sport of autumn weekends. Parks across America buzzed with energy as kids of all ages huddled up, planning their next play. These weren't organized leagues, just good old-fashioned neighborhood fun. The start of the pro football season only added to the excitement, inspiring backyard quarterbacks and makeshift receivers alike. Number 13. Making your own Halloween costumes from scratch. Speaking of creativity, Halloween in the 70s took imagination to a whole new level. Ever wonder how kids transformed into their favorite characters without a single pre-made costume in sight? The answer might surprise you and make you nostalgic for simpler times. Back then, Halloween prep was a family affair. Kitchens and living rooms turned into makeshift costume workshops, with everyone pitching in. Kids raided closets for old clothes, while parents dug out sewing machines and craft supplies. The goal? Creating unique, one-of-a-kind costumes that reflected personal interests or current events. This DIY approach meant no two costumes were alike. One year, you might see a homemade Fonzie strutting down the street, while the next, a pint-sized Richard Nixon would be trick-or-treating. The excitement built as families worked together, turning simple materials into Halloween magic.